Hello and welcome to the Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement Show. I'm Linda Marchalk Yeich and I am president of the company. As many of you know, I serve as the Schuylkill County Treasurer, and I also help represent buyers in real estate purchases and borrowers in real estate refinances. We can handle vacant lot purchases, we can handle residential closings, and we can handle commercial closings. We are here today in our Hazleton office, so I'm proud to announce that we are located at 1201 North Church Street. We are in the 29th Street Office Complex, Building A, Suite 219, and we are ready and able to serve any of your real estate needs here in Luzerne County. We also have offices located in Tamaqua, Pottsville, and Lancaster. You can check us out on our website at www.northeastpasettlement.com, and all of our information is listed there. In one of our prior episodes, we talked about what is title insurance, and I feel that's important to repeat it again in this episode. So title insurance is an indemnity insurance that provides coverage to a property owner under a title insurance policy for the owner, and it provides coverage for a lender under a lender's title policy. In the event that there is any kind of claim on the title relative to something that had happened in the past. When we are contacted by a buyer on a purchase or a refinance, our job is to conduct a title search. And once that title search is completed of the courthouse records, we will prepare a document that is called a title commitment. And today I want to briefly go through what is a title commitment, what information is on there, and how can you read and understand a title commitment. So when we look at a title commitment, it's broken down into a couple sections. Our first section is what we would refer to as Schedule A, and on that document it would tell us the proposed insured for the owner's title insurance policy and the amount, which is typically your purchase price amount. And then if there's a lender involved in the transaction, we would have a proposed insured of your lender with the loan amount, and they would get the lender's title insurance policy. The commitment goes on to further say about how the seller acquired title to the property, and it will describe the legal description of the property that is being transferred. The next segment of the title commitment is what we call Schedule B Part 1, and that is all of our requirements. So the requirements will list some standard requirements that we will need in a transaction. So depending on if it's a purchase or a refinance, they may vary slightly. But typically we're going to say these are the documents that we need for closing, whether it's a deed or a deed and mortgage. We're going to list on there whether or not there are any liens, judgments, mortgages, municipal claims that were located in the title search, because those are things that we are going to have to address, deal with, and pay off. So those are important for sellers to be looking at that section to know what is out there and what's filed at the courthouse. We've seen from time to time that you may think there's one mortgage on the property when in fact we found two unsatisfied mortgages at the courthouse. So we have to get satisfactions on two mortgages even though you may have a balance just owing on one mortgage. Some of the other requirements that we would list on a title commitment would be if we've got a corporate or an LLC seller or buyer, we certainly need all of their corporate documentation to show who has the proper authority to execute documents and either convey the deed and the real estate or sign loan documents and pledge and encumber the real estate. There are also requirements on there if we've had somebody passed away. There are certain estate documents that we would need as part of the settlement. So Schedule B Part 1 would be requirements, and that's all the things that we gather, all the work that we do to be able to get to settlement and convey free and clear title on a property. The last part of a title commitment would be Schedule B Part 2, and that's all of the exceptions that would appear on the title policy. Those would be things that include subdivision maps, recorded right-of-ways, easement agreements, anything else that may be out there that's going to remain on the property. That would be an exception on the title commitment. So that's a brief summary of the title commitment. I'm happy to have with me today Brian McCardle. He is an associate broker with Century 21 Select. He's been handling real estate for a long time, since 1985. So he started very young. He tells me at like age 10. They're one of our premier realtors here in Hazleton, is Century 21 Select. And they have some offices here in Hazleton, Lake Harmony, Blakeslee, and Pocono Lake. So a couple questions for you today, Brian.
Sure.
Today's market, we all know, is pretty, what we're calling, hot from a seller's market.
Yes.
And there is certainly more demand than there is supply. So what do you know about the market, being in the industry since 1985, and how is that different today than what it has been in the past?
Well, I just want to thank you, Linda, for having me on your show. It's an honor. As far as the real estate market, in the 36 years I've been selling, I've never seen it like this. So for an old timer, I had to really, look at the market and say, okay, what are we doing here? Because right after COVID, I truly believed it was going to go the other way. Same with the car industry. I thought, oh God, everything's going to go the opposite way. Here it didn't. It went to the favor of supply and demand. So what's happened, especially here in Hazleton, the demand was so high, the cost of construction was not really good for somebody to buy land and build because the material costs went up. So the only other alternative the buyer had was to find something that's already existing. So what happened, the inventory wasn't coming in quite as fast enough as the demand. So what happened, your prices started to come up very quickly because of bidding wars that we've had. Are we still having the bidding wars like we had 3-4 months ago? Not as much, but it's still there, especially in Hazleton, West Hazleton, and the surrounding area. We are in one of the hottest areas in Pennsylvania as far as real estate. So what I suggest when I go to see a seller about listing the home is try to list it the proper way, and also try to work with the potential buyer that you may have to make that buyer feel at ease. Some buyers today are buying these homes and they're being told to waive all these inspections, only to find out later that they've made a huge mistake in doing that, or putting too much money into the property down. So what we try to do is we try to be fair to both parties, to make it a nice environment. It's a step for a buyer. It's a big thing for them. A lot of our buyers are first-time buyers. So we do work very diligently with our clients, being a buyer and a seller. We have approximately 12 full-time agents here in Hazleton. We do have other offices throughout the Poconos, but more so selling in the Hazleton area. These people are here for life. They're hardworking people, so we try to do the best we can working with them. How I met you was through two real good investors, real estate investors, that told me they can get their title done fairly quickly, easy, and right to closing. That was 4 years ago, and I was a little bit apprehensive about that, and I said, who is this person that can do this good work? So that's how I met you, Linda, was through Matthew and Jake. At that point, I realized how much knowledge you had, even to the point where a lot of times I thought, geez, this sale is not going to go through. This title is so messed up. She was able to look at it, digest it, and come up with alternatives, which I thought was tremendously great. So having that service, and her partner, Andrew, writing to him late at night on emails, thinking he'll see it first thing in the morning, him writing right back to me at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, midnight. I thought, this is it. These folks know their stuff. They know how to get to closing, and they work very well with the realtors. They understand the situation of the sale. And that's very important, understanding all the parties that are involved. And you were able to calm down a lot of buyers and a lot of sellers to reassure them that everything was going to be okay once we resolved a title issue or we had a problem with the structural issue. You were very patient to say, geez, I understand that. You call us when you're ready to close. So I really have to say you're number one when it comes to title.
Well, thank you, Brian. Andrew Smith and I are both licensed Pennsylvania title agents here in the state of Pennsylvania, and both Andrew and I at Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement pride ourselves in remaining flexible. When the market is in such a demand as it is, Brian, we don't work 8 to 5 at Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement. We work whatever hours we need to work to get the job done and get you closed on time based on your date on your agreement of sale. Again, barring any major title effects or title problems, we troubleshoot those title problems and get them resolved. So we work very hard, and we pride ourselves on working very hard and remaining flexible. We're going to take a break, and then we'll be right back after these few words from our sponsors. Welcome back to the Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement Show. I'm Linda Marchalk Yeich, president of the company and a licensed Pennsylvania title insurance agent. We are here today in our Hazleton office, newly opened as of earlier this year, and we have offices not only in Hazleton, but in Tamaqua, Pottsville, and Lancaster. You can check us out on our website at www.northeastpasettlement.com, and all of our addresses, phone numbers, and contact information is there. For our second part of today's show, I am proud to have with me today Jesse Mutarelli. He is a loan officer with Corss Country Mortgage. He's been doing loans and mortgages for 2.5 years. So thank you, Jesse, for being with me today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
So Jesse tells me they have 7 loan officers here covering mortgages in the state of Pennsylvania. So if you have any need for residential mortgages and financing, certainly look up Jesse and Corss Country. They also have offices in New Jersey and Florida. So if you are having a second home, a vacation home, or anything in those states, they can help you as well. So today, Jesse, I want to talk about the real estate industry and how the market is very busy.
It is.
And so I think, can you tell us why the mortgage pre-approval process is so important today?
Absolutely. When it comes to this particular market at this time, it is very competitive. You know, not only is it important to get a pre-approval, but it's important to get a pre-approval from a local lender. You know, a lot of time you'll see internet-based mortgage companies that'll offer this, that, the other thing. Don't, you know, again, there's room at the table for everybody, but me personally, I like to verify everything on the application. That's the difference between a pre-qual and a pre-approval. Pre-qualification is you tell me, hey, I'm Linda, I do this. Well, that all sounds great. However, in this market, I will have listing agents and sellers agents call me and say, hey, I have this pre-approval from you. Can you walk me through it? Well, at that point, I will have already gotten all my documents, done all my verifications, so I could then go to bat for my clients and say, hey, I've gotten W-2s, I've done a solid income calculation, we have verified assets, we're good to go. This person is as solid as anybody. To me, it's very important to have that reputation that deals do not fall through because I did not do my due diligence. To me, without a pre-approval, you can't even get a showing. But even more so than just a typical pre-approval, like you need a local lender, and there's plenty of great ones out there that'll really, really do their due diligence and do what's best for the client.
So as part of the pre-approval process, you kind of take that one step further and you get all of those documents. So you're ready to roll with a settlement and financing and the closing then.
Well, so part of doing that up front is, yes, to be able to verify everything, but most of what I collect up front is going to be about 80% of what we're going to need to close anyway. So instead of scrambling after we get a contract, I'd rather just have all that done, make the process as smooth for the client as possible. I tell, my clients, put your stress on me. It's my job to get the deal closed. I have a certain way I do things. It works. I'm 5-star Zillow reviews, plenty of testimonials. Even so much something as being able to spot potential red flags like self-employed borrowers. Well, obviously they don't have W-2s. Well, what type of self-employment are they? Is it an S corp? Is it 1099? It's my job to get all that information up front. Not everybody is just a W-2 hourly employee. So you really have to know what you're doing, and you really have to be able to, sometimes you get curveballs. It's my job to see those coming and be able to navigate those and get the deal closed no matter what.
So in terms of, if I called you, can you give me a list of documents I would need to give you as I'm looking
Sure.
for a pre-approval?
So typically, I'll ask for your last 30 days of pay stubs, anywhere from your last 30 to 60 days of account statements proving that we have funds to close. And then, if you're just a normal 40-hour a week, or whatever person, your 2020, 2021 W-2s. Again, self-employed, it's a little bit more involved, but, the reality is 30 days pay stubs, 30, 60 days account statements, couple of W-2s, that gets the ball rolling. And believe it or not, just those few things is the majority of what you'll need.
So then once we get the pre-approval and now I've got a signed agreement of sale, we come back then to move the process forward. There's probably very little in documents we need to provide you at that point because you've gotten all of that right from the very beginning.
100%. At that point, what we'll do is we'll get our agreement of sale. We'll get out the initial disclosures, which is, the client saying, hey, I'm good with the terms of this. Obviously, most of it is an estimate at that point. We need folks like you to get us the tax cert and things like that. I overestimate taxes simply because it's a lot easier to have the conversation of, hey, our closing's actually going to be $2,000 less than, I tried to figure out, what month it was as far as when they collect, and I messed up. But that's where, folks like you are just rock solid. I never have to worry about that. So we get our disclosures back. We'd send out for title, get our appraisal ordered. And at that point, I actually have a lot of clients, I keep them in the loop, but they say this is almost too easy. Like, they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. But, by the end of the process, they just have nothing but great things to say. And I think it's important for me that there's people on the other side of the phones and the screens that we use. They're real life people with real life housing needs. And I think by using that as kind of my motivation, it ends up being nothing but good.
Yes, and I think earlier in one of my segments, we talked about buying real estate and applying for a mortgage is one of those life-changing decisions. It's a major decision that, affects your life one way or another, and you want to have good people behind you so you're making good decisions and you're getting good advice from us professionals, whether we're talking about realtors or loan officers or us as licensed title agents here in Pennsylvania. One of the things that impresses me from the title side of it for Corss Country Mortgage is I believe you are one of the premier lenders because you're quick and efficient in your processing. Because you've done that due diligence up front, we can get to closing quicker once we have an agreement of sale. You've also come up with a kind of a new product, which I think we'll eventually see, hybrid closings. Can you tell us a little bit about your hybrid closings, Jesse?
Absolutely. So hybrid closing allows, say we were closing tomorrow, right? You and I, you bought your house. Congratulations, by the way. At midnight, you would be able to sign the majority of your documents electronically so that when we actually come to the office, very quick, couple of wet signatures, you're on your way. No more do we have to, spend 45 minutes to an hour at closing. We take care of the wire, all that stuff. Folks, it's tough to get a day off sometimes, even to close on something like a house, which is a huge deal. So we just kind of want to always have the customer in mind, where our clients, I had somebody do a closing on their lunch break. That's my job to work with a great title company and get that scheduled. At the end of the day, we're all a team, but they do have the option to choose whoever they want to work with. And to me, it's super important, not just for this deal, but for maybe the next deal down the road, or maybe like you said, and it's so important, word of mouth. I never want to put anybody in a bad situation, be it the agent, the client, the title company. So to me, if that requires working 15 hours a day, then that's what I do. There's no excuse for poor customer service. And even if there are bumps in the road, like, my job is to navigate those. I come from the restaurant industry, and I like to say that, there's two types of front of house. If the kitchen's running hour-long tickets, you either go up to the folks and say, listen, I know you're waiting. I promise you, as soon as it comes up, we'll get it out. What can I do? Maybe get you a drink on the house, something like that. Or you have your front of house that goes and hides in the cooler and then comes out and complains they didn't get their 20% tip. I prefer to be the former, because by being proactive, most of the time, folks don't even know that there's issues. And my job is, in a huge life-altering event, like you said, make it as smooth and stress-free as possible.
Great. And I think, Jesse, Corss Country has the same philosophy as Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement. Our office hours are not 8 to 5. They're whatever our clients and our demands are. So if today we're working a 12-hour day or a 15-hour day, we're working that. If we're working a Saturday or a Sunday because people are out looking at houses, you guys are working Saturdays and Sundays on some of those pre-approvals accommodating realtors.
We've exchanged emails at 9:30 at night. So I mean, those are the type of folks that I love working with. 9 to 5, 8 to 4 in this business just does not cut it. So to be partnered with a settlement company that has that same drive and passion and ambition, it's an absolute blessing.
Well, thank you, Jesse. And again, I think that it's reciprocal because, this is a local face behind the Corss Country. So if you're not getting something on a mortgage side, we have your cell phone number and we're calling you. And likewise, they have our cell phone number. So if my phone is ringing at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, I know it's an important call and we're going to take that and we're going to deal with the issue. So I think just having that flexibility between Corss Country Mortgage and Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement, we are both customer service driven organizations that want to get the job done, want to get you to closing, and ultimately get our buyers a house and get us paid. So if we don't close a deal, we don't get paid. If we do bad customer service, we're not getting paid. We're not going to have the business. And I think we're both very fortunate to be on the cutting edge of the real estate industry, cutting edge of technology. How can we get this closed in the quickest, fastest, most efficient way possible?
That's a great point too. The technology that's coming out, my company along with you folks, we're always looking for ways to improve efficiency. Whether, like, I had done a deal that fell through with another lender, we were able to close it in 10 days. This was actually a remote closing where, he was in Seattle, the seller was in New York, and we had to kind of, team up and get it done. But if you're looking at new products and new ways of doing things as like, oh, I don't want to be bothered, then probably not in the right business, because this is an ultra competitive business. And if you're not willing to do something, the next lender down the road is, the next title company is. So we have to be out in front of it.
Right. So we adapt and change constantly to technology so that we are the quickest, fastest, best there is in the business.
Yep, 100%.
So to wrap it up here today, I want to thank you, Jesse, for coming out today. They cover all of Pennsylvania in terms of mortgages and lending. Great lender. we are proud to work with them on many title deals. So at Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement, whether you have the ability to use our office in Hazleton, Tamaqua, Pottsville, or Lancaster, we're here to handle any residential or commercial real estate transactions, any type of refinancing transactions. Interest rates are going up slightly, so we may have missed the boat a little bit on some refinancings, but it's always good to call a lender like Jesse and find out what current rates are. There's no really sheet anymore. You've got to call, see where you are in terms of rate and term, and they'll be able to accommodate you with any kind of interest rates and structure on a loan. I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and we wish you all the best in enjoying the sunny, warm weather that is coming our way.